So we'll start off with some plants first, and we'll go into pictures later. First up here is Allium medusa. Common name for alliums in general is ornamental onion. So if you've never dealt with these plants, if you break the flowers off or break some of the foliage, it does have an onion smell to it. Most of these plants are pretty tough. They're pretty, as far as planting them out in landscapes and whatnot, they can handle a lot of abuse. They do not like wet feet, so make sure that it's a well-drained site. This is a introduction. I believe it came through Walters. You can see there it gets 20 to 24 inches high and wide. Doesn't have a real big flower head, but it's got quite a few flower heads. Pretty much what they're known for. They will bloom in early, late summer. Once it starts blooming, it has a pretty good array of flowers throughout the course of the year. Put this buddleia in. I think we may have talked about the Cascade series before. This is we have this plant in that series. This is an introduction from Walters. For those of you that aren't aware, Walters is in Michigan, so this is survived those winters up there. They are close to the lake, so it's zone 5, similar to what we are. Difference in this one, you notice this will get 5 to 6 foot tall and wide. This has a 10 to 12 inch flower or panicle flower on it. So we have had these as trial plants. We have seen the flowers that long. The other thing with this plant, this is a semi-weeper. It's not a strong upright like what you're used to with the older varieties. So as you can see in the picture to the right, it does have a little bit of a weeping status to it. So it's not going to be as big as the old style buddleia. Figure we put all 3 Iteas in. We talked about them last week. This is picture on the left is a current one for Henry's. Of the 3 that we grow, Henry's is the biggest. They get 3 to 4 foot high, 4 to 6 foot wide. You see it will start to flower. If you look close in the bottom of this, our picture, you see there's small flowers in there. They'll probably be in bloom in another 10 days or so. It does have this long white panicle type flower. The other thing with this is it's very fragrant, so it's going to draw in bees, butterflies, etc. The other thing with Itea, I've mentioned this in the past, it does tolerate a lot of wet sites. I wouldn't say it's going to be good for standing water or swamp ground, but it will tolerate clay and wet sites. So it's a pretty versatile plant. It has the flowers in the summer, and then come fall, I believe if you scroll down on one of these Iteas, there's a picture of fall color. You can see it has a dark red foliage as well. This plant's done really well as far as fall color for us from what we see. One of the issues we run into with this plant, which we're going to look into heating some of them this winter and doing some other things as far as winter storage. In the hoop houses, it does have a tendency to maintain that leaf all winter, where in the landscape that leaf does come off. So it's one of the issues we have with this plant in early spring. We have gone back to trimming it, as you saw this year, down to that 10 to 12 inches. So that gives you that nice full plant once it starts growing in the spring. Little Henry is the next one up. It's a proven winter selection. The main reason that they went for this plant, it was a lot smaller, a lot tighter plant. You can see here, height is only going to be in that 1.5 to 2 foot, and then 2 to 2.5 foot wide. Other than that, everything's pretty much identical to Henry's. The flowers might be a skosh smaller, but for the most part, you can't tell them apart. But it has a good fall color. It's just not quite as big as the other plants. So if you need something in a wet area that you don't want it, to get 3-4 foot, this is a good substitution for it. And then the next one, we just picked this one up last year. Scentlandia, what they were looking for was a plant that was small. So this one here, you see, is 2 to 3 foot high and wide. So it's a little bit bigger than Little Henry, but it's still smaller than Henry's. The other thing that we've noticed, and was stay tuned for this one, but as you can see in this picture, as well as what we've seen in production, the flowers do have a more upright tendency as compared to the other 2 varieties that we grow. Other than that, they're pretty much the same. This one is supposed to have more fragrance, hence the name Scentlandia. So that was the claim to fame with this one. This salvia is a newer one that's been out in the market for a couple of years now. We picked it up, I think last year was the first year for it. You can see the picture here on the left, that's the current crop. For salvia, this is a nice short plant. They listed at 8 to 10 inches. That's going to be the body of the plant. The flower is going to put it up a little bit bigger. But what we've seen with it, it stays nice and tight and compact. It doesn't open up like Maynite or East Friesland will. And it does stay flowering all summer long. Even if you're not deadheading it, it does a good job with reflower. You can see all the flower buds on this plant that we have a picture of. You can help speed up the process for the rebloom by going in and trimming it back or deadheading it. That helps with most perennials, especially on the salvias. As you recall in the past, we talked about salvias. They do like to have water, but it needs to be well drained. They will tolerate some drought. So salvia is a good plant for an area that's somewhat dry. Couple container trees in here. One that I'm not sure we've ever really talked about, this Halesia Arnold's Pink. This is also on Danny's native tree list. Halesia's common name is Carolina Silverbells. It's predominantly through the southeastern part of the country. It is a zone 5, 4B, depending upon what site you go to look at. The advantage of Arnold's Pink, as you can see in this picture, it's got a light pink cast to it. Most Carolina Silverbells are white, so this one was selected out because it was pinker. And when the flowers come out, this does bloom in early May to mid-May. And as you can see there, the height on this is going to be 20 to 30 foot and 15 to 20 foot wide. This plant usually will do better on the edge of a woods or a partially shaded area. It's usually considered to be an understory plant. So keep that in mind. Put a taxodium in here, Shiny Brave. You can see here, this is a big specimen. So if you have a little small city lot, I would not recommend this plant. It's going to get 50 to 75 feet high, but it's only going to be 15 to 20 feet wide. This is a very close relative to Metasequoia. The advantage of this one is it stays narrow, so if you want something that gets tall, but it's in a small, tight area, you can put it in there. The other advantage to taxodiums, for anyone that's seen the pictures down in the swamps, Louisiana, etc., this will grow in wet ground, and it throws what they call knees up, where the roots come up above the water surface. So it's another neat little trait of this plant. But this is a nice, tight plant as far as not being too wide. We also did a number of pictures of the echinacea as they're coming along. As you can see, they're just starting to flower. Some of the kismets, just a little bit of color there you can see in the background. But these are good for getting on the lots right now and give you a lot. Tom mentioned about the 17 centimeter, the echinacea. The big reason for doing this, we took this program and made it into like a 12-week, more like an annual crop. We wanted to have a nice full plant. The other advantage to this, if you recall, with echinacea rudbeckia, they do not like wet feet, so it does give that advantage to that as well. But it fills the plant out really nice, and the pot's looks more the same size as the plant itself.
Jump right in. Excuse me. Aronia low-scape hedger, proven winter plant. We talked about this off and on quite a bit. Gets real nice clusters of white flowers. Very small berry on there. It's more about the habit of the plant. You know, a nice compact hedger. Excellent fall color. You know, that real red foliage in the fall. You know, it is a native, so it's widely adaptable. Actually, Aronia are darn near a wetland plant in most areas, so they can take real heavy, tough soils, tough conditions, and this one here is very low maintenance. It stays compact, but you know, you got it in a hedge form. So we got these available. You can see there the crop looks real good. No disease or insect issues that I'm aware of. So just a real good bulletproof plant out out there, great for hitting for the landscape season, especially those smaller areas. You know, standard aronia can get really big. This one here is a little more tame, so, you know, a little better suited for the backyard. You know, will stay in its zone, stay in its area. So next is Buxus, Cranberry Creek. This one here is a willow introduction. Came from some plants that we straightened out and we propagated along. We really selected this one because of its just really glossy leaf, and also it stays full all the way to the bottom of the can. Sometimes as mountain gets older, it can lose a little bit of that foliage towards the bottom of the plant. This one here just stays nice and full all the way down. Great pyramid, upright, and we got a great size going on here. You can see here in the 7-gallon, you know, 24-inch, no problem, you know, pushing up towards that 26, 28-inch size. Great looking crop there, and we have 2,300 of these available. So just in time for, you know, the re-wholesale landscape season to really kick in for June here. So next, just got a couple photos wanted to share with you. So scroll way down, there you go. So just took one picture of the daylily, but we have 3 daylilies. We have Rosy Return, Pardon Me, and Great Magic. These just went on special at Cheryl, could you? So just wanted to let you know that those just went on special. We really want to move those. You can see there we got good numbers, and they haven't started scaping yet, but they will be soon.
$295.
The other one is Hydrangea Confetti. That's one in the Plants at Works program. That's one that Tom found out there was some with a smaller breeder, and we brought that on board. Excellent plant, compact shape. I just don't think a lot of people know about it. Would be very low maintenance. Gets a real nice, you know, confetti-like kind of flower all over the top. It just loads up here, and then, you know, it's a summer bloom, that paniculata. Okay, next, Nitiformis. This is one that everybody should know. We've got a great looking crop out there, nice and uniform. You know, 12-inch is our spec, but we're really around that 15-inch size. Just a really good looking crop. Just one thing to watch is right now these things require a lot of water, but very soon here they'll kind of shut down. They're pretty much a one-shot wonder for flushing. And once they start to shut down, you really have to watch the water and manage the water, not overwater it, because you can definitely overwater them and rot the root system out in certain situations. So it's just something to be aware of. It's a plant that changes very quickly towards the end of June. It requires heavy amounts of water now, and then that will drastically change, which most spurs do this, but I've seen a lot of people kill Nitiformis by not adapting to that change quickly. So just a note from the grower. Next is Potentilla. This is Bellissima. This is in the Bloom and Easy program. This comes out of Northern Breeding up in Canada. You know, you can see there, you know, Potentillas are widely known for really going up there for their zones. So this one can go all the way up to 2. To be real successful with Potentilla, the big thing is you need well-drained, I would even say excellent drainage. If you do not have excellent drainage, you're not going to be successful with Potentilla. Potentilla grows in its native environment in rocky outcroppings. You know, you see it all around the Yellowstone region and stuff growing wild out in there. It just needs very well drained soil, but it also needs water. So it's, it's soil condition, it's gonna need moisture, but it needs to be able to drain quickly. We really like this one. It's a really neat pink flower. It should continue to bloom. We had a bloom there that's slowing down a little bit, but then you can also see in the photo there's a whole bunch more buds pushing on. This will continue to bloom all the way through June for sure. They usually slow down quite a bit when you get really hot, but you still should see blooms for most of the summer. So great looking plant, new plant. This is Bellissima, and the other one in the series that we took on was Bella Sol. I think we talked about that a few weeks ago.
She looks just as nice.
Yep. Next, rhododendron PJM Elite. We're real proud of this crop here. Wanted to show you, this is a 7 squat. Beautiful 18-inch. This is our first crop that we've been able to produce this big with our new techniques, our new program. You can see how consistent it is all the way down. We're starting to roll these on, and we have 500 on now, but I think the crop it's well over 1,000 in the crop total. But for right now, we put 500 on. As far as Elite goes versus PJM Compact, we chose Elite because it tends to have a heavier bloom. And also, you can see here, it really fills to the bottom nicely. PJM Compacta will tend to get woody real quick and start to lose its bottom growth. It's okay, but Elite's just a little better. Elite was a selection out of Compacta series, and we stick with that, and it's done very well for us. So anybody who's ever asked why, I know a lot of people just bring Compacta, but that's why we chose Elite. Next is Taxus dexiformis. This is a newer crop that we put on in 5 gallons. We're right at the 15-inch mark, so be careful overselling it. Just a note with Taxus, we do use Tall Star. We incorporate Tall Star. It's a little tiny granule that goes in our mix. And if any kind of grub gets in the soil, they chew around through the dirt and they ingest it, and it actually kills the grub. So it gives us excellent grub control. That stuff will last several years in the pot. It's inert, so it doesn't like leach out or anything. It actually takes an enzyme from the grub to break down the chemical and kill. So it's very safe when it's applied in the soil. So it's a win-win for us. So several other growers do use it, but there's still a lot of guys out there that don't. And you get a lot of grub issues in Taxus for black vine weevil. So that's our strong talking point with that. And then you can also see here the crop was trimmed, flushing out. Just a beautiful uniform crop. So looking real good. Next one is Wardeye. Same techniques as well. You can see here pushing really nice growth there. Wardeye is a little lower grower. It's kind of a midpoint spreader. Everland would be the lowest that we grow here, but then Wardeye is the next, and then the density would be more of the globe shape type. So got a beautiful crop there as well, 350 plus available. Is there anything else?
I think there's.
There. Yeah, I think we got a couple more. So, Lee, what's this one? Lee.
It's whipcord. It's our dreadlock.
It's whipcord. It's your favorite plant, Lee.
It is. It's dreadlock.
Dreadlocks. So we finally got some whipcords ready. I know people really like this plant. I found it when I was out and about in another nursery. Just was very unusual. We picked it up, and it's been a lot of demand on it. It's been hard for me to get it up in the pipeline. So we have been raising our numbers by quite a bit. We basically went from trailing 250 to we're up around 2,000 right now. And crops looking good. Cheryl put a couple hundred on. We'll keep moving them on as they look better. Very unique thread You know, it's just in its own unique category there, and can't say enough about it. It's very striking. It would definitely give a garden center that's looking for some late season sales some interest. And it does very well when it's planted. It's somewhat adaptable for soil types, and it does very well. It does very well in the landscape. So a good plant to look at. Next is Viburnum Vitrella compacta. This plant's been around for a very, very long time. Probably one of the first, Viburnum trilobum was one of the first kind of really cultivated and strained out, and then they came up with compacta. But you can see here, it's doing what it's famous for doing. You know, it's got that beautiful hues of reds coming out on the new growth as it pushes out. You get a nice fall color, and you also get the berry, the fruit on it too. That's what it's called, cranberry bush. The one thing you do have to watch out for is this one can get bacterial spotting. So if you are going to carry this one, you need to have a spray program in place if it's going to be sitting around for very long. Some applications of sprays, and try to keep the foliage dry throughout most of the day. You'll be a lot more successful with this plant. But extremely hardy plant. I don't know if I go all the way to zone 2, but that's what they say. But should be fine.